infinite complacence, people went to and fro over the earth about their little affairs, serene in the assurance of their dominion over this small, spinning fragment of solar driftwood, which by chance or design man has inherited out of the dark mystery of time and space.
Okay, so just to throw kind of a random question out there, it's not something that you brought up in your contact to me, but we are talking about unicorns now. So, what do you think about Bigfoot?
I might have seen a Bigfoot. I definitely have pictures of Bigfoot tracks. I heard the Bigfoot at the same time, or right before I found the tracks.
Oh, is this in Idaho?
No, this is in Colorado. I live in Bailey, Colorado, and there's a Sasquatch outpost down in Bailey.
Yeah.
The guy who runs it is like a Bigfoot fanatic. He's never seen one, but he's like all about trying to see them.
Join the club, pal.
Yeah. Well, there was one time I used to deliver papers on and off for like 3 years. So I drove around in the middle of the night, and I remember seeing something that was like 8 or 10 feet tall.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to hide behind a telephone pole while I'm driving, and I was laughing to myself, like, that thing's really trying to hide behind that telephone pole. It's way too big, and it had like reddish eyes. And I kind of like blew it off at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, there's no way, because it was kind of like a subdivision up here, like everybody has like an acre of land,
right?
Yeah, so there was this big thing trying to hide behind a telephone pole.
So you're delivering... I'm sorry, go ahead.
Delivering papers. Yeah, I was delivering papers.
So that means it's dark. It's like super early in the morning. Is it still dark?
Yeah, it's like 3 a.m. probably.
Yeah. And do you think that the red glow, the eye, is it eye shine? I mean, or was it actually like you felt like it was glowing?
I wasn't sure, but I saw something else like sometime later. Like it was trying to hide behind a tree, and I've heard owls have red eyes and not like red eye shine. It could have been an owl, but I felt like the eyes were too far apart, and it was like 7 or 8 feet tall, like standing in this tree. But I don't know what that was either. I don't know if it was eye shine or if they were glowing. The second time it seemed like those eyes were glowing. They were definitely super red.
Right. Because it's a tough distinction, right? Because there's the eye shine, but then there's also those people that go, no, it was glowing from the inside. This was not eye shine. They're very adamant about that.
Yeah.
I mean, so you saw mostly the eyes, but which would be 8 or 9 feet tall in the air, but you didn't really then see any kind of a silhouette or a body shape underneath it.
Not that second time. The second time I only saw eyes.
Right.
The first time there was a mass like sticking out behind the telephone pole, and I thought, that thing's ridiculous trying to hide there. But I kind of blew it off. I don't know why. I was like, there's no way. There's no way I saw that.
I think a lot of people do that. I mean, I think that's why a lot of people don't. They would never even consider Googling, I saw a Bigfoot, or Bigfoot podcast, or what does a Bigfoot look like? I don't know. What one might Google if they're not really into this stuff like we are, you know?
Yeah.
But you blow it off.
Yeah. Then I started hanging out with the guy at the Sasquatch Outpost. His name's Jim Myers. He takes people out into the woods to like listen all night. Mm-hmm. I was like, okay, this guy's gonna have some guy in a monkey suit jump out so we can get our money's worth. And nothing ever happened. I saw orbs flying around and stuff out in the woods.
Oh, that's interesting.
But I never like nothing happened. So I'm like, okay, this guy's legit. So I started going out with him every once in a while. We heard like a tree knock once. That was about it.
Yeah.
And then finally one day I go out by myself. I usually go hiking with my dogs, but I went out by myself. It was like in March, like 2 years ago. Yeah, I went out by myself and I heard some monkey noises in the woods. It was like, oh. I was like, holy crap, that's them. Oh yeah, I was also being paralleled. I kept hearing squirrels. You know the like the danger sound that squirrels make when there's like a predator around. I kept hearing that like 50 to 100 feet off to my left for like a mile. Like it would be like a different squirrel, like every like 50 feet or so would be like going nuts over there. So there was something paralleling me. And then I heard this giant roar like way up the trail from me, and I'm like, I hope that's a bear. I hope that's a bear. But it was like March, so I mean, there's a very small chance that the bears are even awake. I know they wake up intermittently during the winter, but I don't know. And then I do the 6 mile loop, and I turned around to go the other way on the loop because it kind of backs down. And all of a sudden the snow started getting really deep. It was like 2 to 3 feet deep and crusty on the top. And I was just in my running shoes. I didn't expect there to be that much snow.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trudging through the snow, and I stumble across this freaking like 2 foot long footprint. And the picture of it is actually in the Sasquatch Museum at the Sasquatch Outpost. You can see the toes and everything. Yeah, it's like twice as long as my foot. And I got a couple of other pictures too that aren't, they're easier to see, but they're not as like big as that one. Like one of them has like this really crooked foot. Like the heel is like at like a 45-degree angle. And I got this other one that's like, and there's not going to be any people out there trudging through this snow, barefoot way out here. Almost nobody uses this trail that I use. It's like not an official trail.
Right. So, there would be no one out there to hoax. It would be nearly pointless to try it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So while you were out with Jim Myers, I'm going to have to touch base with him. He sounds like an interesting character. At the Sasquatch Outpost, you mentioned orbs. And I know you've heard me talk. Everyone's tired of me hearing me about, blast about the light that I saw when I was out at the Brown property. But when you saw these orbs while you're out for Bigfoot, what did they look like? What did they do?
They were just little flashes of light, like dancing around between the trees. Like they were very faint. They weren't like super strong. Uh-huh. And I thought I was just seeing stuff because, you're sitting in the dark for like, we sat in the dark for like 2 or 3 hours, just like not saying anything, just watching and listening. Huh. I thought I was just seeing stuff. And, but then my friend later who came with me, said he was seeing those too. So he definitely saw them. But we didn't talk about it at the time. Yeah, they were just really faint little flashes.
So I was in Ohio for a couple of years, and there was fireflies there. But they have a very short period of time, right basically at dusk, and then maybe 45 minutes or an hour after that. And then they're kind of done. Was there any chance these were fireflies?
No, because Colorado doesn't have fireflies.
Oh, and
2, I used to live in Ohio, so I'm very familiar with fireflies.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, they're cool.
And like I said, these were like really faint lights. They weren't that strong at all. Like if you weren't paying attention, you wouldn't even see them. I
mean, were they close to you, or you felt like these were far away?
Some of them were probably within like 20 feet. Some of them were like 50 to 100 feet. They were just here and there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting.
I think it's just a normal thing in the woods.
Right. Well, but there's a lot of abnormal things in the woods too. So I don't know. After I saw that strange orb, and then we had to FLIR up, and he's like, "There's no heat signature." I'm like, "What do you mean? It's just a drunk guy just falling into the ground." Nope.
Yeah,
wasn't a human. Sorry.
Oh man.
I'm like, no, it's not. Yeah. All right. So, Jesse, I know we've got more to talk about, but we are going to save that for next time. And I appreciate you sharing all your tales so far, and know that we have more to cover, such as the demonic entities. And you said that was in 2 different houses. And then
actually, I was wrong. It was 3 houses.
It was 3 houses. Oh, and plus, I made a note to talk about your current work situation. Obviously, we should expound upon that if you're comfortable doing that, of course.
Yeah, I'm comfortable talking about all this stuff. I love talking about this stuff.
Oh, thank you.
Please, just don't want to hear it. Yeah.
And something that I ask people that I talk to that have a lot of experiences like this, sometimes they mention it, or I'll mention it. They always say, I shouldn't say that. Many times someone will say that when they talk about this, it will amplify the activity. Is that something that you're kind of wondering about or worried about, because you're talking to me about it so much tonight and covering so much ground?
I hope it happens. I'm not very fearful. I used to be super fearful of this stuff.
Yeah.
Because it used to be traumatic, but now it's like something can startle me or frighten me, but I'm not fearful. I'm not going to back away from the things,
Yeah.
I'll do what I have to do to protect myself.
So do you...
that stuff does, because it's been pretty tame. Like, even though the house I'm working in is haunted and everything, I know we're not going to go into that. It's like, it's tame though. It's not a big deal.
Right. So do you, even if something frightens you, like you said, you know that everything kind of has its boundaries and it can't actually harm you?
Yeah, it's just trying to frighten me.
Right.
Like, these things, I mean, besides, sleep paralysis where I feel like I'm being attacked, that's one thing. But I can fight that off too. It doesn't take that long to get that thing off of me. I don't know. It's just, I'm so used to it now. It's just like a part of life. All these things happening and seeing all these things. It's not a big deal. I kind of look forward to it. Even if it is startling.
I saw, and I spoke about this not too long ago, I don't think, just really briefly, but I don't think it's anything paranormal. I was just laying in a completely pitch black room, and I was not asleep. I was not asleep yet, because I hadn't even opened my phone to my Kindle to read. And I heard a pop and then a flash of light. And it was so bright that it like lit up the whole room. And it didn't really frighten me. It just was startling. Like, what the hell was that? And I don't, like I said, I'm not exposing it to anything paranormal, but I kind of get the whole, well, I'm kind of looking forward to it, because I was kind of like, at first I was like, oh, well, oh, that was kind of cool. I don't know what it was. I was demented, I guess, in my mind, as some people might think. I was hoping it was something paranormal, but then I'm like, well, it was probably static electricity, or although I've never seen static electricity react that really violently. It was a really loud pop and a flash in the room. But anyhow, I can relate to the. I look forward to it, because I always say that. As everybody knows, I've only really seen the one thing. So when I talk to somebody like you, Jesse, I'm kind of like, that's why I'm always pressing for the details, because I'm kind of going, oh my God, if I was there, what would I want to know? What would I want to experience further with that?
Could you tell where the pop was coming from? Or where it came from?
It seemed to be right above my head. And I was already laying down, so it wasn't like at the crown of my head. It was like above my head, like above my face. And I was just laying on my back, just laid down, lights are out, and I don't have a night light or anything. And wide awake, and that's why I pop. That's the only time I utilize my Kindle is at night. Is I'll read a few pages and usually I'm like out. I'm reading The Descent again. Everyone thinks I'm such a loser. I know. I talk about it constantly. I'm reading it for probably the 3rd time. And it's not even open yet. So I'm wide awake, and it was like crack. And then after the pop is when the light happened. So that was why it was so strange. And everyone's like, well, maybe it was and bless their hearts, because I'm looking for the normal explanation. I kind of I think I put it on Facebook or something, and everyone's like, well, was there a transformer that went out, or is there a street right outside your window? And I'm like, no. Like, it was no to everything, which is interesting. But then again, I'm like, well, maybe it was just static electricity.
I think personally, from my experiences, that it was something coming through the wall.
Think so?
Yeah, because I don't always see like lights with it, but sometimes I do. And it might have been the energy either needed or generated when it came through the wall, because they make noises when they come through the wall.
And when
whatever they are.
I was gonna say, yeah. What do you mean by they? Just just
I don't know. Whatever
they.
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes there's lights with them, but oftentimes, yeah, like they make noises, pops or cracks coming through.
Wouldn't have been interesting if I had some kind of a recorder going. Like, I wonder if, hidden amongst the pop or before or after, if there was like a voice or a growl or whatever. I'm not trying to make this into a strange Eli Roth movie or something creepy. I just wonder.
Yeah, somebody said never do EVPs in your own house, because then you're opening the door to things. But I mean, if that's what you want, start doing EVPs in your house.
Yeah. No, actually,
not in the house.
I completely agree with that, because I've said that lots of times. I'm like, it's one thing to go to a location and you're doing your investigation, and Jesse, you're going to be the first one to say this, when it's, in your own home, and we'll get to this next time, completely different story. I mean, that is supposed to be, sleep is good. Human beings need sleep, and by God, if you can't sleep because something is tormenting you, or many things are tormenting you, then you just cannot live a normal life. So I'm not envious of people that are going through some really tough times in their own home at all. I don't make light of that at all, and it's not a funny thing.
Yeah, I have stuff going on in this house too. It's not a lot, but yeah. Sometimes it can be unnerving.
Okay, so between now and the next time we talk, not that you won't remember. You have a really good memory, obviously, but we'll have to talk about, or at least I'll ask the question, if post-conversation, if this actually got things going a little bit at all to talk about these things tonight.
Yeah, I hope so.
I love that you say I hope so. I do.
I shouldn't say that.
Well, no, I get it.
Myself, but...
I get it.
Yeah. These things like me. I don't know what it is. They like to come around. Yeah, I look forward to the next time. I have 1,001 stories.
Well, we got a few of them out tonight, and I thank you for that very much.
Tip of the iceberg. I thank you for the opportunity. Yeah, I was a little nervous at first, but I'm surprised how easy it was to talk about these things.
I think it feels good to get it out. I've only really had the one tale, but after I told it a few times, I'm like, you know what? It feels so good to talk about this.
Yeah. It's good to talk to somebody that has an open mind. That's what I appreciate about this, because I tell everybody that'll listen, but then they're usually like rolling their eyes.
Yeah, you get the side eye. I know. I get that too. Most people at my normal job are like that, and I'm like, that's okay. I wear the freak flag right on my shoulder. I don't care, and it's all out. So they're like, "Oh, you do a podcast, huh, about weird stuff?" I'm like, "Yep, I do."
Yeah, I'm always telling my bosses about the ghost in the house, and they're always laughing at me because they don't believe in that stuff.
Yeah, until it makes them shit their pants, they're gonna laugh about it.
Yeah. They probably wouldn't even notice. They're not paying attention to that. They're all in politics.
That's true. Anyone arguing about Trump right now will not be seeing any ghosts or have any open-minded experiences. I can tell you that.
No, not at all. Yeah, I stay away from politics. It's a fool's game.
Yeah, so do I.
Guess I just think so.
I avoid it like the plague, and I will continue to avoid it like the plague. You'll never catch me on a thread about anything political. No interest.
Yeah. I think I was murdered in a past life for being a politician.
Really?
Yeah, I had a past life regression. I was like during the Revolutionary War, and I was ultimately shot in the back.
Because you did
Over
something
politics.
horrible?
Because I was a trickster. Yeah, I was doing something. Up to no good.
Who did this past life regression?
I did on myself. I listened to a YouTube
Whoa.
talk through. And actually, I had like two at the same time. It was weird. Yeah.
You
I
had
was some kind of politician, rabble rouser. And I was also a black slave who I was like killed when I was like about 20. Probably for doing something nefarious.
Wow, that's two sides of the coin right there.
Yeah.
You're a politician and at one point you were a slave.
Yeah. I don't know which one came first because
Right.
Yeah, the memories came back like kind of intertwined. I mean, they obviously weren't the same life. I was a white guy in one and a black guy in another one. Yeah, it was pretty crazy. They tried to kill me during the Revolutionary War, but they didn't get me till later. Maybe the War of 1812 or something. They came in and shot me in the back, and I died laughing. I was like laughing so hard I was crying as I was dying.
You died laughing.
There was something ironic about it.
So, is there any history on or a story of a politician dying while laughing? Is that kind of his moniker? Do you have any idea of who you were?
No, or being shot in the back. I was looking up everybody because they yelled my name two different times. The first time when they tried to kill me, James. They yelled James as they were like firing at me, but they missed me. And then they I was sitting in front of a fireplace with my back turned to the door, sitting in my chair, like writing or reading something. I had papers in my hands, and then I hear this James, and they kick down the door, and the guy in front shoots me in the back, and I died laughing. My friend thinks it had something to do with the War of 1812, like the British came back to finish the job or something. I looked up all the Jameses I could, and I couldn't find anything. They don't tell how people died back then, and if they did, they'd probably lie about it.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, that's true. It's about as nefarious as the papers today.
Oh yeah, same thing.
Yeah,
same thing going on. Yeah, it's all BS.
Oh, so what about your slave regression side of it? I mean, were you alive longer?
It's funny because it started out as me. I was standing on a porch with some other slaves, and we were like laughing until we were crying, and the same way I died. And then it like fast forwards to me getting pulled away by some white guys, and I'm like calling to the other people for help, and they just like look away. And I had this feeling like they didn't care, but they did. They just couldn't say anything after I, thought about it for a long time. Like, because they'd probably drag them away too if they tried to do anything. So, and I think I was about 20 when they took me.
So always with the laughing and the trickster, like you said, right? You're always just lighthearted and positive and laughing.
Yeah. I try to be.
I think
there's definitely always that inside. Even if I come across as serious on the outside, there's always something like that going on the inside.
Yeah. Well, keep an eye on your bosses. I don't know how often you go to that job site, or you might before we talk again, but keep an eye out. Maybe they experience something and they're finally like, okay, Jesse, you were right. And we got the shit scared out of us.
Yeah. I was gone for like 10 days. I go there every day. That thing missed me. It was showing up a bunch. Like I just catch like this white mist out of the corner of my eye and stuff. And it'll drain me sometimes of energy, which I really don't like. But it's really shy. It stays away. It's not like nefarious. I think it's a dead person. I don't like it draining me. I definitely don't like that. But it like peeks around corners at me and stuff. I catch it watching me. I try to talk to it and stuff and say hi when I show up and say bye when I leave.
So why do you
like hate me?
Why do you think it would drain you on those certain occasions? I mean, because you didn't say hello, or
there's nothing to eat in there. It needs energy, and like there's almost no power in there. It's like a completely gutted 130-year-old house.
Yeah.
There might be a spider or something for it to drain, but there's nothing in there, and it probably needs energy. and I'm like the only thing in there.
So I wonder
yeah,
if I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jesse. We're both excited about the
I was
the
gonna
subject.
say, like, I've been working there for like 4 months, like remodeling this house, and I didn't notice anything for the first 2 months until I was outside doing some landscaping, and I heard these loud bangs inside.
Mm-hmm.
So I went in there to make sure my boss was okay, and she wasn't in there. There was nobody in there. And then all of a sudden I get this flash of I call her the old hag, my demon from my old house, the succubus. I don't know if that's what she is, but she's like this 3 foot tall old hag with black piss for eyes. And I got a flash of her. So I thought that's what it was in the house. But then I noticed she was just paying me a visit. It's actually something else. But then I started seeing it all the time. I started saying hi to it and stuff. So it comes around a little more, but it's like super shy.
So what if you left some sort of a power source in there before you left one night and then came back the next day?
I should probably do something like that, because all of a sudden, like 2 hours in, I'll just be like shaking. Like I got like low blood sugar, like shaking and confused and stuff. I can barely stand. And I'm just like, at first I thought it was just, but it's like, I'll bring a smoothie and food with me and stuff, and I'll be eating all day, and it shouldn't be food.
All right.
So this thing's just getting me. So yeah, I should probably bring something like a power cord or something I could plug in.
Yeah.
Or something.
Anything, right? And not
really
that you have to
idea.
get some sort of a paranormal aspect of it, or get an actual implement, that they might use. I can't remember the name of it. Oh, and I'm not trying to quote TV shows or anything, but there's a certain thing they'll take in. I can't remember the name of it, to actually amplify the energy of the room and quote unquote give the entities power. But I'm sure you can do that with just about anything. I mean, you could take a small generator in there, or even a light source, or they'll drain recorders if you take them in there. So I think just about anything. Take a handful of batteries, maybe that might work too.
Yeah, I told it to drain my phone instead of me.
Did it
do? I want to listen to podcasts while I'm doing it. No. I mean, every once in a while I'll have less power in my phone than I should, but it's never like completely drained or anything. It just comes after me. What an ass.
It is. They're bastards sometimes. They're funny little bastards. No, it just seems like you would be, I guess, the preferred choice, especially considering you do seem to be more sensitive to this type of activity than most people, so that makes sense.
Yeah, it touched me. Like the first day I came back after 10 days, it like tapped me on the head. I looked around to see if something fell on my head, like a piece of drywall or
oh my gosh,
drywall. There was nothing. Yeah, it touched me on the legs one time. I asked it to touch me, and it did. It felt like spider webs on my legs. Yeah. It's nice. I don't know.
I mean, that's a good confirmation, right? Without the fear factor.
Yeah, no, it'll startle me because I'll catch it freaking looking at me out of the corner of my eye. But it's not scary.
The white mist. You see the white mist.
Yeah, like a white blob or figure peeking around the corner at me, and I'll look over and it'll dash away real fast. And I keep catching it standing on the stairs looking at me. I never see it directly, but it's hard to see those things directly, and I don't know if they want to be seen or what.
How many people are usually there on the job site at one time? Inside the house?
Just me and my boss. It's actually, I work for this older couple that owns a bunch of properties.
Uh-huh.
And I help them with other properties, but mostly this house that it's right next door to their house that they want to move into eventually. So it's just me and the Russian lady mostly doing stuff. And mostly just me by myself a lot of times.
I mean, you certainly seem to be a magnet for this stuff, because nobody else sees this a lot of times.
Crazy. No, I'll tell her hey, it's active today, and they just laugh at me. They think I'm crazy.
Okay, this sounds
but
like
I don't mind.
Sounds like
I don't mind telling people, I don't care if they think I'm crazy.
No, that's good, because maybe if you bring attention to it and they are willing to say, yes, I did see something, then there's something to compare and converse upon, right? So there's a shot. And even if it takes months, which I've had this experience, if someone finds out I do the show, months later, they're like, well, it's kind of weird. I did have this one sighting back when I was, 10 or whatever it was. That happens a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. When you start talking about it, people start, all of a sudden memories, like starting listening. I just recently got into a podcast a couple months ago listening to them. Like I never bothered. And I stumbled across Monsters Among Us, and then through his, I found yours. And yeah, it's great because then like all these things start coming back, all these memories.
Right. All right. Well, just before our next recording, or maybe I don't want to know. Maybe the next time we record, you can just be like, okay, here's a list of things that happened because we talked about it. I don't know. I don't know which one I want. I don't know if I want you to email me beforehand or not. But any final thoughts on this first round?
Did I mention the horse head?
No.
Okay.
What is this?
My brother talked about it too. It's pretty quick. I used to have an imaginary friend, or so I thought, that was a floating horse head. It mostly used to talk to me while I was going to the bathroom. It could be in the bathroom with me while I'm on the toilet. And one time I get locked in the freaking bathroom, and I was like 5 or 6. Like I never locked the door to the bathroom. My parents are like, I'm like screaming, I can't get out of the bathroom, and they're like, unlock the door. I'm like, it's not locked. Like it was just stuck for like 10 or 15 minutes, and finally it opened. And I didn't even tell my brother about this when I was talking to him on the phone the other day about the unicorn and stuff. And he was like, I was asking him if he remembers anything else, and he was like, there was this guy with his horse head, and he used to wear loafers. I'm like, how do you know what his shoes look like?
Oh, geez.
He was like, because I was too scared to look at his face. I was like, holy shit.
He had loafers on?
That's what my brother said. It was this horse-headed man, this tall horse-headed man with loafers.
That's horrible.
Like, how the hell you know what his shoes look like?
Right?
Oh, man, I'm getting goosebumps. Yeah.
That's horrible. No.
Yeah. He's like, I'm too scared to look at his face.
So he might have gotten the impression that he had a mask or something, a horse head on his face, but you actually were looking straight at his head, and you were like, oh yeah, the guy with the horse head in the bathroom.
I just saw a floating horse head. Like, I don't remember a body attached to it at all. I just remember a horse head that would talk to me in the bathroom.
Oh my God.
And I think when I got locked in the bathroom, that was the last time I ever saw it.
So isn't that interesting? Because it seems like it gets what it wants out of you, and then it's done, right? Like it's satisfying. It's satisfying. And
it feeds off that crap.
Right. So, and not that you said that the blue entity was negative. You said that you didn't get any negative feelings off that, but the second that you acknowledged it and you waved at it, granted, you only saw it a few times, but when you waved at it, it waves back, and then it was done. So it just seems to kind of tie in. Like, well, I'm going to acknowledge you, give you this much attention and energy and interaction, and then you're satisfied.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird. That's kind of what they do. At least when I was younger.
Horsehead. And he wears, the loafer thing, thank God neither one of you saw the whole tie-in. I mean, what was in between there? I mean, was he wearing anything?
I didn't know he was seeing that when I was a kid. I didn't know. Like, that's the first time I heard that he knew about that. I thought it was kind of like a story I made up. I was going to tell him about it. Like, I thought I invented this imaginary friend that was a floating horse head. Because I remember my friends talking about they had imaginary friends, and I was like, so do I. It's a floating horse head. And I thought I was just making shit up.
Oh, my goodness. Well.
But then he just brought it up a couple days ago when I was talking to him about this stuff.
This was a couple days ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I knew I was going to be doing this with you, and I
Right.
wanted to see like what he remembers as being
Right.
a kid.
No, and I really appreciate doing that. I bet if you really sat your brother down, he has some stories then that might corroborate.
Oh yeah, absolutely. He probably has other ones too. I was trying to pick his brain, but we kind of got stuck on that stuff, and he kind of wanted to change the subject.
Yeah. Well, and like you said, sometimes he has certain ideas of what things are, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, he's probably right, but
understandable.
I like to think that there's Fae. I like to think that the Fae are separate or something, but it's probably all demons all the way down. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it could be. It could be.
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. We're trying to figure it out, what all these things are. Well, I don't think we ever will. I love the great mystery of life. Other people think they have it figured out.
Yeah. No, there's no experts in any of this, no matter what they say. I always laugh.
Yeah, especially when they start claiming to be an expert. Like, yeah, from that person.
It's laughable. It really is.
Yeah.
And you hear that a lot in this. I don't care if they're on TV or in some sort of a documentary or they write a book. There are no experts, period.
Yeah, that's what I like about the guy Jim down at the Sasquatch Outpost. He's been chasing Sasquatch for years, and he definitely does not claim to be an expert. Because I changed his mind about some stuff, because at first he thought it was just like a wild ape running around through the woods.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I think it's something else. Like, I think there's more of like a spiritual component to it. Like, why can't anybody find any bodies, and why is it so elusive? And I've seen like the cloaked things in the woods and stuff, and I'm like, that might be a Sasquatch. Maybe that's why they can hide so well.
So you mean like the quote unquote the predator aspect?
Predator.
Yeah.
That's what I always say. Uh-huh. Yeah, I've seen those. I have a friend who's seen those before too.
Really?
Yeah. I just thought it was a trick of my imagination until I started hearing stories about that. And I was like, oh, I never like connected that to like maybe that's Sasquatch.
So what do you think of the whole? So let's take that and marry it into the Fae and certain portals, or tie it into the water. Do you think that that's all tied in? Bigfoot, 411, the Fae, portals, shimmery things in the woods. Do you think that's all tied in?
Yeah, I think it's all tied in because like UFO is like the modern story of the Fae, like how they snatch people up and they're doing like this messing with people's DNA or something and taking people for reproduction purposes supposedly, and that's what the Fae used to do, or they still do. And with my experience with the Fae, they're definitely still around, and I don't think things are coming from different planets. I think it's all here, and maybe it's interdimensional. So yeah, maybe things are jumping through portals, or they just live parallel to us, and they can jump in and out.
Yeah. That was my first guess on, because I've been asked many a times, what did you see in the woods when you were 12 or 13? And I'm like, they were there, but they weren't there. Like, they were interacting just enough to where I could see them, and they were like moving their arms and legs, but they weren't interacting with the trees. They didn't have to dodge them or jump over logs or any of that. But they were there. So the whole interdimensional, and people can laugh about that word, but it's a real thing. Like science.
It's a real thing.
If everyone wants to go, well, what about go look it up. There are other dimensions. Science says it. There you go. We've all been talking about this for a long time, but that's my best guess. Is it was just another dimension. I had a glimpse into it. They bled over to this side, or for a second I had a glimpse into their side. I don't know exactly. Of course I don't know, but that is my best guess. It certainly wasn't Sasquatch related, nothing like that. But that's the closest thing I have for that.
How tall were those things? Were they king size?
They were around at least 6 feet tall, if not just a little more. They were quite tall. Yeah.
Did they look like they were like wearing cloaks, or were they just like silhouettes of people, or what?
Silhouettes of people, and they were quite thin. Not super thin, not emaciated or anything, but they were like nice little fit runners just running through. And
Did they move like people, or do they move different?
They move different. And I say that because, and I always say how I didn't have a helmet on. And the reason I say that, and people are like probably going, why does she always say she didn't have a helmet on? If you've ever ridden a four-wheeler or a dirt bike and you have a helmet on with goggles, the goggles are plastic. They're not glass. And obvious reasons, right? If you crash, you don't want glass in your eyes, guys. So it's plastic, and it's almost always dirty and foggy no matter how much you clean it. So I say I didn't have a helmet on because I could actually see something, and that's why I say that.
Yeah.
But these things were moving as fast as my four-wheeler was riding, and we were hauling ass down this straight dirt road. We knew the roads very well. And I couldn't guess as to a miles per hour. It was a Yamaha Breeze, automatic, I don't know, 25, 30, I don't know. But these things were not running as a person would run. So, very striking. And, you know, I've said it many a times, 5 seconds can change your life. That's all it takes.
Yeah. I have a good four-wheeler story, but I think I'll save that for next time because it's... entangled with that house I moved into.
Okay, I have written that down. Four-wheeler story. Okay, I have that written down. Jesse, thanks so much for coming on. It really does mean a lot to me when you guys reach out and you're like, hey, I have some stories and I hope that you'd want to talk to me. I'm kind of going, are you kidding? I would love to talk to you.
Excellent. Yeah. Again, thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely.
It's been a lot of fun.
Thanks, Jesse. And let me know, I think I will break my rule. Let me know in between our talk if anything happens. And then that way I just like to make a note. That way we can maybe open with certain things that happen in between.
Okay, yeah, I'll keep my eyes open.
Well, I'm so-and-so. I was given this name by my parents. I've been to such and such a college. I've done these things in my profession. I produce a little biography. Buddha says, forget it. That's not true. That's some story. That's all gone. That's all past. I want to see the real you are now. Well, nobody knows who that is. Because we don't know ourselves except through listening to our echoes and consulting our memories. But then there's a real you, and that again leads us back to this question. Who are you? That is the real you. We shall see how they play with this exam by the koans to get you to come out of your shell and find out who you really are. we don't believe literally in reincarnation. That after your funeral, you will suddenly become somebody different, living somewhere else. They will say reincarnation means this, that if you sitting here now are really convinced that you're the same person who walked in the door half an hour ago, you're being reincarnated. If you are liberated, you will understand that you're not. The past doesn't exist. The future doesn't exist. There is only the present. That's the only real you that there is. The Zen master Dogen put it this way. He said, spring does not become the summer. First there is summer, and then there is spring. When you settle down in the train to read your newspaper and so on, you are not the same person who a little while ago left the platform. If you think you are linking your moments up in a chain. And this is what binds you to the wheel of birth and death. But when you know that every moment in which you are is the only moment, this comes into Zen. A master will say to somebody, get up and walk across the room. And he comes back and he says, where are your footprints? They've gone. So where are you? Who are you? When we are asked who we are, we usually give a kind of recitation of a history.